Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Oh, hold on. Let's run that back. Studio audience, is you ready? Yeah. Okay. So, hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Yes. Y'all, I don't know why they be trying to act like they don't know what they're supposed to do when it's the same thing every week, like it never changes. But thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show. If you are new episodes. I can't talk. That's a thing. If you're new, like that always happens. But new episodes drop every Thursday. I usually talk about my life and how I'm trying to grow. For all my regular day 1, 2, 3, 4, whenever you came in supporters, thank you so much for sticking with me. If you're not, you know what I'm saying, you should totally be following me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, the TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, all that good stuff. The link is in the episode notes. So let's go ahead and get into it. We have my guy Penrose.
Yo.
Studio audience, get y'all stuff together. Stop embarrassing me in front of all these people.
They did right though. You know how like when the guy walks in and then he gets to talking and then the audience claps and he got to stop for it. They did right. They did right.
Try to make it sound good for them. I feel it. I'm sure they appreciate it because they kind of tripping today. But welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, you haven't been on the regular platform
in a minute. Yeah,
over a year.
You know, it's all good though. We family, man. I look at it like like I say, Autumn. Before the show, Autumn said the same thing. When it comes to family, man, like I just appreciate even getting the nod. You know what I mean? Because I still talk to you all on a regular basis.
Right.
So I don't have to worry if because I'm not getting the attention on the show if we friends or not. You know what I mean? I know we friends. So.
Right. So and the crazy thing is you're on here often. Like we record once a month anyway with the SendTamCash. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So it's like you're on here so much, it's almost like you're just a part of it, but this is separate from that. So it's like I've been thinking like, dang, it's been a minute since I had Penrose on. Like I gotta get him back on, and it's crazy because when you talk to somebody so much, you kind of I don't know, it's just a regular part of your day, your week, whatever. Yep. So then it's like you kind of forget about how you want them on the show.
It makes total sense, man. Yeah. It makes total sense. Like you. I've said this before. With the podcast happy hour, I got some connection to all of y'all. What me and Jay from Michigan, me and you do SendTamCash. Me and Autumn, you know what I mean, that Michigan Ohio thing, and then me and Chris do All Dogged Up together, and then Audrey's just shady, and I write stuff. So I got connections with everybody, so it feel like when it's like I say, when it's family, man, like you don't really feel like D Murph said that the other day. He was like, "Yo, the show is out." And he was like, "Yo, thanks for being on it, this and the third." And I'm like, "You ain't got to thank me, we brothers." And he was like, well, "Think about when was the last time you've been on the show?" And I was like, "Damn, it's been a minute." He like, "Yeah, I talked to you because I talk to D Murph like damn near every day of my life." So that you don't really think about it like, "Yo, I need you to be on the show," because people you need to be on the show is to get their perspective.
Right.
If somebody you respect and you want their perspective, you don't have to get my perspective because you probably just got it earlier before you found the nigga that you wanted on the show. So it's like when it's family, it just works that way. So it's all good.
And that's how it's kind of like the crew. We literally talk every day, every single day. That is not an exaggeration. We be in that group chat every single day. But how often they're on the show, it really kind of just depends on, like Audrey. I feel like it's been the longest since she's been on because Autumn was just on. Otherwise, it might have been Autumn, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
it's like, that's a great way to put it. You don't think about wanting to pull them in to get a different perspective, kind of like my kids, you know what I'm saying? I see them every day, I talk to them every day. So being intentional and like spending time with them, I have to like think about that, not because I don't want to spend time with them, but it's because I see them every day anyway. So it's like
Right.
that extra above and beyond, like, no, do you want to do this? Do
Right.
you
No.
want to
Right.
do that? Like my youngest daughter, which my kids actually gave me for Mother's Day money to get my hair done. So that's coming soon. Turn up, you know what I'm saying? Because
I
it's
love
been
it.
a minute since I got my hair done, and it's not something right now that I think I would invest the money in just because money is tight, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then my youngest daughter she wants to take me out to dinner because she's like, "Well, I didn't get you anything for mother." Because normally they'll get me like gifts, and I was like, "Hey, this year, can you just like give me the money to get my hair done
All the
instead?"
cheese. Real
You know what I'm
talk.
saying? And so she was like, "Well, I didn't get you anything for Mother's Day." I was like, "Yeah, you did. You gave me the money you gave me what I asked for." She was like, "I know, but normally I do this. So do you want to go to our favorite restaurant, which is Bonefish Grill?" I'm like, yes, bang bang shrimp in this thing, of
All
course.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's something intentional. But then it's like when I'm sitting here working, my kids will come talk. They'll come whatever. Oh, what are you doing? Even though they could clearly see what I'm doing, but I think that's just that like their way to kind of like have that bridge of let's
That.
talk or
Yeah.
I
That's
want
their
your
above and
attention or whatever.
right. I think that's their above and beyond as well because it's like you said, when you live with your kids, it's not a neglect thing when you're like not showing them attention. It's you've been with them all day. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I think it's the same for them. A lot of times, I think I can speak for any parent who considers themselves a good parent. There's times where you wanted to kick it with your kid, and you can tell they don't want to be bothered. So I think
Mhm.
when they, you know what I mean. And sometimes you just you respect their space and you move on. It don't mean it feel good. So I feel like when they come with that, like, hey, what you doing, or can we talk, or you know what I'm saying? Like my son is not into sports in any way, shape, form, or fashion. If he come in here and sit down and watch a board game with me, I know he's trying. You know, he's like,
Yeah.
yo, I want to kick it with my dad. So it's like, yeah, I totally understand that. I think to more further your point, my son, anybody who knows me, my son's always been with me since me and his mother split when he was like 7 months or whatever. And
Mm.
so he asked could he do a year of school with her. So I let him go up there, and I've definitely missed him or whatever. But I had to go to Detroit recently, and on my way up there, I called my cousin, and my cousin owns a barbershop. I'm talking to him or whatever, and we get off the phone, and I call my son, and I'm like, "Yo, you at the shop, ain't you?" He like, "How you know?" I said, "I can hear your voice." He said, "I miss you that much. I heard you talking in the background." He said, "Dude, I'm on." He said, "I said I was just on the phone with your cousin." He said, "Dad, I'm on the other side of the shop. Like I'm nowhere near him." Exactly. So I say all that to say it's not that you know what I mean. You don't miss your kids or want to be around your kids, but when you're with them every day, you do have to sometimes think to be like, oh shit, let me show them the actual attention that's not just being a parent. Let me spend
Mhm.
time with them. So you know what I mean? You can show your attention in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Talking about school, if they got a job, just chit chatting. But when it's now spending time, that's a different showing attention. You know what I mean? So I get where you're coming from.
You know what's crazy that I've had, so my kids are 18, 20, and 22, and it's so funny because every from May to October, because that's when my youngest birth. So my oldest daughter's birthday is May. My
Okay.
youngest child's birthday is Halloween, and then my son's birthday is November. And so from Kayliana's birthday to Janae, so that's the middle and the youngest,
Right.
it seems like they're 2 years apart. They're really not, but before Janae and Devon's birthday hits, it's like right now they're 18, 20, and 22. And I don't know why. It's just this weird thing where I like when it seems like they're 2 years apart before the other two
Before
have
it
their
changed,
birthday. Yeah.
yeah.
So, Janae graduated this year, and when she turned 18, she was already done with high school. So she's been working full time, doing her thing, whatever. And she moved out for a little bit. And it's really interesting because of all the like struggles that she had dealing with grief and mental health stuff or whatever. I realized in hindsight that because I had to be so extremely hands-on with her, then when she turned 18, and honestly at that point she was a lot more kind of like settled than she was before. I struggled with that transition a lot. And, she had wanted to move out, whatever. And so she went to go stay with another family member for, I didn't really know how long she would be gone, but like, I just knew she would be back. Like, I kept telling my oldest daughter, like, I really feel like the Lord said she'll be back and, whatever. And it's not like she left on bad terms. It wasn't nothing like
Right.
that. It was on
Yeah.
some, I knew when she went to spend the night over there that she was gonna go move in, but I also knew one day she'd be back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
she came back this past weekend, and it's so interesting because what I see, and she was only gone like a couple months, so it's not even like she was gone, not
Like
even six
years,
months.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
next. But what I see, what that time apart did for me is like help me solidify that my kids are all adults. Because I used to, like, when Kayliana turned 18 and I think it was her 19th birthday was her first birthday that she chose to spend with her little boyfriend or whatever. Like,
Right.
I was butt hurt because I'm like,
Ah,
what? Like,
now I get it.
what is happening? And I'm like, why don't you want to be home? Like, why don't you whatever? And it's crazy because it honestly took Janae moving out. So your child is gone. You know what I mean? She'll come visit. We'll talk. We'll FaceTime. Whatever. But she don't live here. So it literally
Right.
took her moving out for me to solidify, and also her moving out. And then Kayliana, she's just always gone between work or being at her friend's house or whatever, for me to like get used to time by myself,
Yeah.
because I became a mom at 19. So from 19 until now, basically, it's been somebody was a minor, somebody whatever. Now, the interesting thing is that my son has lived with his dad since before he turned two. Um, Obviously, we still have a relationship or whatever, but he's like the kind of like you, like he's lived with his dad and
Yeah.
whatever. And only difference is we obviously live in the same city and state and not
Right.
in a different
Yeah.
whatever. But it's interesting because when we first started this adulthood transition, it was a little easier with him. And I think it was because he was the first one. So there's still like these minor children that you still gotta focus on,
Yeah.
because
I
he's
feel you.
like, he'll be 23 this year. So like he's a little bit older than them or whatever. Then
Right.
once we got to Kayliana, and she's only 17 months older than Janae, so then it's like, oh, okay, we okay, we getting to the end of the road. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then once Janae hit 18, and it's like she finished school October 1st, so it's like it just all happened so quickly, where it's like all of a sudden you're an adult. You know what I'm saying? And because she
Right.
was done with school, she didn't really, that's why she wanted to be done before her 18th birthday, because she had whatever plans that she wanted to have, that she knew that if she was still in high school she would have had school the next day, and her birthday
Right.
was on a Sunday, so she wouldn't have been able to do it how she wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you gotta applaud that type of initiative, ingenuity, and commitment. To be
Oh
honest,
yeah,
to
because
get done.
I
Cause
always tell her she could do whatever she wants to actually do. It's just sometimes if she, but then on the flip side, if she don't want to do it, no one can
She ain't
make
gonna
her.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like her moving out. What I see is it really helped me settle into, okay, your kids are adults. Remember when you were an adult, you were not trying to be all up home all the time. You would spend birthdays. I mean, I don't really spend birthdays with my mom, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it really helped me kind of like settle down, start letting go a little bit and being okay with, hey, just tell me if you're not coming home. Like if you're spending the night somewhere, just let me know so I'm not like worried thinking you should have been home and something
Shit,
happened.
my thing is let me know so I can lock this door and go take my black ass to sleep. She's like, nah, I get you, bro. I get you.
I
No, I'm just
mean,
messing.
yeah,
I'm just
but
messing. I get you. But you're
yeah.
right. You're right. We as a parent, you're gonna worry. I feel like now the crazy part is I've been a parent since 19, but not had the chance to actually be a parent until I was 23. And my daughter is 4 years older than her brother, but you
Okay.
know, for situations, her mother was a little butthurt that I left her. So she did some stuff to keep my daughter away from me. But anyway, it's another story for another time. In regards to the empty nest feeling that you're talking about, I told my son, I said, listen, at 18, there's certain decisions you're gonna be able to make for yourself. And I'm gonna let you make. I said, at 21, it's really not too much I can tell you. I would hope that you would follow my guidance just because I'm your father and I know more about the world. I said, but there's one thing that we're not going to negotiate. He's like, what's that? I said, you're not allowed to leave my house until you're 26. He's like,
Mm,
what? And he's like, I said, if you go to the military, there's one thing. You decide to go away to college, that's another thing. I said, but because we've talked about a different path that does not involve creating debt for himself,
mm-hmm.
as far as student loans and things of that nature. Uh, and so I was like, you have to stay home till you're 26. Now the way I see it is you don't. I'm not gonna keep you in the same living space we have now. It's too close for that. You know what I mean? I feel like you're telling the kid he can't go anywhere, and most times children don't understand when they have to stop listening to you. Everybody hears that 18 to 21 thing. None of us, but especially when you black, that number means something. But in relation to the respect you have for your parents, it never really means anything.
Mm,
Um, and I told him that one, I'm not tripping over the empty nest thing, but I felt it as he got older. I felt it started, and then especially when he left, I think him being gone for this school year, it's already helped me adjust to it. But I also looked at it like a lot of the people that I know, um, and primarily from different races, uh, seem to have got off on a better foot coming out of their parents' house, and that's because most of them didn't leave the house because they weren't allowed until they were between the ages of 25 and 27. And it's because what the hell, if you don't know anything at 17 years old and 364 days, then what happens that very next day that gives you
right.
all this knowledge?
Right.
And, I think a lot of black and brown families treat our children as bills and not as productive, trying to produce productive people in society, productive
Mm-hmm.
citizens. And so I just feel like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, either it'll be a full basement type apartment, or hopefully by that time we have a guest house on the property, and you can live in that. And yes, you got to pay bills, but give me
Yeah.
$200 a month, or pay a light bill, whatever. You know what I mean? But while you're trying to figure out how to get through school or how to work through this, because to be honest, the path that we have him on is to go through. Not necessarily just cybersecurity, but I'll use that for lack of having to explain it all in that type of field. And so when you come out, you have no debt. You walk into a job at 18, 19 years old, competing with dudes that's, 30 years old, what they're making in a whole different field. And now you're still at the crib. And by the time you're 26 in a field where things are changing rapidly, so you're always learning, bro, you walk out into the world with no fear of moving forward, because I feel like when you're 18 and nobody taught you what 29% APR was on a car, and that nobody should be charging you that because you're 18 and have no credit. As soon as you go get a cell phone bill, you qualify for 0% down on a car. When nobody teaches you that, nobody teaches you how to balance the checkbook, nobody teaches you just the facts of life. You have that time to now continue to learn it underneath my tutelage while still growing into the person that you're going to be. And so I think it would be now. If he chooses at 21, real talk, I can't make him do anything. But I
Right.
think again, when you put something in your kid and they had a respect for you, they never really stop listening to you because they understand that you've already guided them in proper places and good places, and he sees that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My child doesn't live destitute in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I won't allow it. So I believe he understands that. Hey, I'm not telling you this because I'm trying to control your life. I'm telling you this because this good life you've been afforded so far, nobody gave me this. I had to figure this shit out way too late on my own. And so now that you're benefiting from it, let me show you how to walk out into life way better than I was at your age. So, you know, but
Yeah. See, here it's so crazy. Because so I've told my kids, I'm like, when you turn 18, you do not have to leave. You either need to be working or you could work part-time, be in school, and school doesn't necessarily mean for you your university. It's if
right,
there's training that you need to get to where you're trying to go, whatever that looks like,
right,
or I mean school full time. And if you can survive without like working a full time or working part time or doing whatever and have what you need or whatever, figure that out. But what I told them is, because what I realized is, like I said, I became a mom at 19. And because of whatever reasons that in hindsight, I see it really kind of set me up for to like have to learn things the hard way. I won't say failure because I haven't failed at, life or whatever. But I'm saying like it really made it where certain things I should have known before I moved out of my mom's house, I didn't know, but because I became a mom, I had to move
yeah,
out. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
And so, because of that, and once I came to that revelation that, because there's just certain mistakes I kept repeating because I wasn't learning the lesson that I was supposed to learn. And then in the past few years, I've really just been thinking, and I'm like, bruh, I mean, how was I supposed to know that when I actually really wasn't taught that? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people think that just because they do things right, you know what I'm saying, that you just automatically know. But if you're not intentional to communicate the lessons that need to be learned or the training or whatever, then that person, you can't just assume they know it just because you did it the right way. And so that's
Exactly.
basically what I have told my kids, is that you don't have to leave if you don't want to. Like when my 18-year-old left, it's because she chose to. Now, she was with a family member, so like for me, it was a safe, like, you're not having
Yeah,
to pay all this rent and whatever woo, but at the same time, you feel like you get freedom. It was actually good for us, I think, just because it helped me to not be so, I don't want to say overprotective, but I think with her, I definitely was, because of just the stuff that she's been through and that we've been through. It made it harder for me to let go. And so then
right.
when she left, it made it to where it's like, okay, that was a healthy separation. I was literally just thinking about this last night. And then now that she's come back, I just see we have a better relationship because she had time to kind of see some things and even like honestly see how good she had it in my household. Mainly the environment that I create. Like my kids didn't grow up in a toxic household. That's her words, not mine. So whatever she saw while she was out there or whatever her friends told her or whatever, that's the revelation that she realized that it's always been important for me to have peace in the home. So
Right.
I always make sure that that is what everybody else experiences when they come to my house. There have been even people that'll like come over and be like, "Man, I just feel so at peace here because that's the environment that I need to be in." So you're going to, get the benefit of that if you come by. And so then when she was gone, and had to deal with different things being in different places, she realized, like, I mean, yeah, I kind of see why mom was on certain things, or mommy, they still call me mommy,
Mhm.
but like, I didn't grow, I grew, how did she say it? She was like, I didn't grow up in a toxic environment, and like, I can't, that can't be what I live in. And that's what and I knew that about her, that's also why I knew she would be back, because of the places that she was trying to stay. No shade to anybody. I'm not saying whatever, but I know how my child grew up. Like, I may not remember whose favorite food is what, but their personalities, I know that. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah, for
know
sure.
people. So like I knew that how she was raised, and it's not just me, her dad too when he was alive. So how they were raised, it's like when you go out and experience the complete opposite of that, or just whatever, it's kind of like, dang, maybe it wasn't that bad when I was at home. And
Yep.
so, and it's not like I have a ton of rules for them. Like once they turn 18, it's literally just three rules. It's one, you have to let me know if you're not, like, if you're spending the night, like I said, you got to let me know. Just that's just a safety thing. Like, yes, you share your location with me, like we all share our location. Again, that's a safety thing. That ain't even about me like trying to check on you. It's like if something happens to you and you don't know where you're at, I can come find you based on your location. So that's one thing.
Fact.
You have to let me know though if you're not coming back, because I could see your location and really that's not where you are, or anything
Yeah.
could have happened and I'm thinking you're supposed to be coming home and you're not, or just whatever. So that's
Right.
rule number 1. Rule number 2 is if you choose to have sex and do all that stuff, hey, you can't do that in the house. Like you gotta
Right.
do that somewhere else, because and honestly, it's the same respect that I would show them. Like now, unless I get remarried, okay, that's different because that's my husband. But just having some, I don't care if it's somebody I'm in a relationship with and we decide to do that. I just feel like the how now everybody has different views about marriage, so somebody may feel like marriage don't mean, I don't care about your views on marriage. To me, marriage means something and it's a desire or whatever, and it's the next step, the next phase of whatever, right?
Right. Right.
So that's different because we're living together. Like you live here, this is your house too. But if
Right.
it ain't that type of situation, I just feel like, nah, this is me and my kids' home. And the same thing that I expect them to respect the house and not just have somebody who doesn't live here up in here doing whatever. So that's the second rule. And then the third rule is no smoking in the house.
Right.
So those is the three rules because
I
I
mean,
can't.
those ain't hard rules to abide by. So
Exactly. Yeah, you got to pay, contribute to the household because you're an adult and you have a job, and that's teaching you a level of responsibility. Like they pay their part of the phone bill. It's not even that much money, you know what I'm saying? But it's just
right.
like teaching you a little bit of responsibility so you can understand that, hey, this bill is due this day or whatever. And that's what I tell them, like, this paycheck that's coming up because they get paid the same day and I know when they get paid, you gotta give me your portion of the phone bill. Food, you gotta contribute to food because you eat, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's
Right.
little stuff like that, and that's it, you know what I'm saying? So it's just really interesting because it helped. Yeah, that whole empty nest thing, it was, and it's technically they're not gone, but it still was an adjustment, even them just being gone with their friends all the time. You know what I'm
No, I
saying? So
feel you.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then especially because I'm without a vehicle right now. So my daughter, my oldest daughter, she has a car, and like if I need to go somewhere I can, but I don't, everything I do is from home right now. So like I don't really need to go too many places, and I'm, man, as expensive as gas is, I'm not trying to just
Right
be
now,
just
yeah, I'm
going and doing
I'm still here
whatever.
too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm not trying to be just going and doing whatever wherever, you know what I'm saying, for no real purpose, especially because I don't got money to be just wasting like that right now. So
Yeah, and
I'm,
Ubers is taxing.
yeah, so I'm alone a lot. Like even though I'm staying in my mom's house and my mom, she be here, she works from home too. So like she's in her office working, or she just in her room chilling, and you
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
doing
Like,
her right.
yeah, so it's like it was definitely an adjustment, because I feel like, especially with the girls, because we went through a lot of stuff together. And it's so interesting because my son was here the other day, and we were all talking about stuff that I didn't realize he remembered from his childhood. So we were talking about kind of like the dynamics of my relationship with my ex-husband, and why I chose to shelter him from certain things because that wasn't his dad, and I felt like, okay, sure, I should have left sooner than I did, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't. So like I just kind of felt like you shouldn't have to see certain things or hear certain things or whatever. And I actually thought I did a better job of sheltering him until him at the age of 22 telling me stuff that he remembers, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that you were that
Yeah,
in tune with, you know what I'm saying, what was going on.
yeah,
But it's crazy because like we were talking, and it's like he was saying how he remembered this and he remembered that, and I don't know, it's just, yeah, it's real interesting what you see, what your kids, like their perspective of what they go through. And even if
right.
you had like a reason for why you did something, or you thought they didn't know what was going on or whatever, man, kids be knowing, you know what I'm saying?
They
Like
in tune with everything. They see
they,
everything, they hear everything,
hell yeah.
and they have an opinion.
Mhm.
They're people. I don't understand people who. Man, don't get me wrong. My son knows. At the end of the day, I make the decisions, but yet and still you live here, so you have to be respected, and you do have a voice.
Mhm.
So your opinion will be heard. You know what I mean? It don't mean it's
Yeah.
gonna go the way you want, but it will be heard. And I say that because like it's kind of the same thing. Like my son reached out to a friend of mine and to my sister. Now he know at the time, man, my sister wasn't even kicking it, but he knew that what he told her was gonna get back to me, and he was just like, "Yo, I'm ready to move back home." He was like, "But my pop just yells about everything." Now, mind you, he says he doesn't necessarily yell at me. The nigga just yells. So he could be happy, he could be angry, he could be sad, he could be excited, he could be joyful, he could be mad. It's all loud. And so he was just like, I just can't deal with it. And they came back to me, and like I sat down with my kid, and I was like, yo, just express anything else that you want to talk about. He's like, it's really nothing else. He was like, I didn't want to come to you and say that, and you be mad at me. And I had to look at that. Like, we talk about and do everything together. So for you to feel that you might not have been able to talk to me about that, it's like, at least for one, at least you had somebody to, you know what I mean, to reach out to and to talk to and all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that you were able to say these things because again, it's still your house. You still do live
Mhm.
here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
your respect, your person, your energy, and everything does have to be taken into consideration. So I totally feel what you're saying.
Man, and just kind of piggybacking off what you just said, I really, and it's part of it is because I mean, even sometimes still feel like I don't have a voice that I feel like I should have, as being my own human being, and I'm my own entity. And I mean, I'm hella grown now too, you know what I'm saying?
No,
But
I feel you.
I've always made it a point to where my kids, yes, you are my child that I brought into this earth, but at the same time, I am trying to raise you to be an adult. You're going to be an adult one day, and you need to be able to function in healthy relationships and understand what's toxic and what's not. And if I model that, how are you going to know that then when the next person that's,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, that's how are you going to know that that's toxic? And that's one of the things that my oldest daughter is so interesting. She was talking to me about something that she was talking to somebody about, and they were trying to say whatever to her, and she was like, no, my mom taught me this, and if my mom was to hear this conversation and hear whatever, she would have to say this about this because this is how she raised us and this is how whatever.
Right.
And it's because I didn't have that, that I'm really so passionate about that, because I understand that just because I'm the quote unquote adult, even though like now we're all adults. So just because I'm the higher generation or whatever in the hierarchy of family, like because I was born first and I
Right.
brought you into this earth, it doesn't mean that you don't have your own feelings. It doesn't mean that your anger and your stuff is not valid. Like my kids, they're allowed to tell me if I do something that offends them or whatever. And even if that wasn't my intent, or even if maybe it happened because they pissed me off and maybe I reacted, you know what I'm saying, out of anger, or that's my, like, one of the things I just found out recently. So like when I'm trying not to snap, or I'm trying not to, because as a parent, if we say something to our child, it's going to be a lot more damaging than if they say something to us, just because of who we are in their life. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like if I, if me and my kids get into it, which we don't, but let's say me and my kids get into it and I'm just tearing them down and they're tearing me down, it's going to be worse for me tearing them down because I am their parent and I am supposed to be loving and doing all this stuff. And you know what I'm saying? And so when I get super angry, in order to stop my, if I feel like I'm going to say something that, like, it's only when I get to a certain level of anger where I'm just like, okay, let me be quiet. And usually I'm staring off into the distance because my mind is racing and I'm trying to calm myself down because I don't want to say something that I'll regret. And if
Right.
I can't calm myself down, then usually what I'll do is I'll let whoever finish whatever they say. And then I'll be like, all right, like, especially if, like, she was about to leave anyway. This happened with my oldest daughter. So then I'm like, all right, well, you can go now. Weren't you going to leave? So basically, though, what I found out is she doesn't like when I dismiss her like that. And I didn't know that because in my mind, I'm thinking I'm protecting you from saying something crazy
All
or
right.
like, and man, the way that interaction went, like, woo, man, I was trying not to like knock her out. And it's not even that she was super disrespectful because none of my kids are, but I can't remember what she did, but it made me so triggered me, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I'm responsible for what I do with my trigger, so I can't just sock her just because I was triggered. Like,
Right.
that's
Fact.
not
Fact.
acceptable, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I found out from my youngest, because me and my youngest daughter are pretty similar, and she was telling me we we were talking about how similar we are, or how much she realizes she is like me in certain ways now that she's older. And she was like, yeah, and Kayliana was saying how we have this thing where we dismiss people when we're mad or whatever, and she doesn't like that. And I was like, dang, I never really thought about how
That it
somebody
comes off
else
like
may,
that.
yeah, because in
Uh,
my mind I'm thinking I'm trying to protect you from my wrath and my rage, because like when I get to certain levels of anger, and not many people could get me there, it's usually only people super close to me. So right now maybe my mom and about my kids, and that's about it. Anybody else is kind of like, I
right.
mean, it ain't that serious. But I could feel it in my body, like blood boiling, all that. So in
Right.
my mind, I'm thinking I'm trying to protect you, but her perspective as my child is completely different, and it's you're dismissing me. And especially because I remember she tried to like circle back. She tried to. This sounds so terrible now that I think about it, but she tried to circle back to like finish the conversation because I just got like dead quiet.
Mhm.
And I was like, nah, I don't want to talk about that right now. You can go. And that's about verbatim how that went. And I never really at the time, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, okay, this is good feedback to know. And at first I was like, well, she better be glad I'm dismissing her instead of knocking her out. I didn't say this
No,
to
right. I
her.
get it.
I
Right.
said this to myself. I might have said it out loud when my youngest told me, but then when I really thought about it, and it's like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there are things that she does that bothers me. Like if my kids do stuff that bothers me, because I'm human too. Like just, and I've told them like when they were teenagers, because that's when that little shift starts. And I'm like, just because I'm your mom does not mean I don't have feelings and I'm not a human being, and it doesn't mean that things that you do aren't going to bother me. Now, for the most part, I'm gonna just take certain things because I'm your parent, and it's not your responsibility to like for my emotional well-being and whatever. But then when there's certain things that I come to you with, like you kind of gotta respect that this ain't gonna work. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And so in that same you know thought process or whatever, her saying this, like her perspective is I'm being dismissed and she doesn't like that. And I was like, okay, I I gotta do better. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right. I feel you. I feel
Gotta
you.
do better. Can't be one of those parents that, well, I'm the parent and I'm right. That's not, I know how I know that's not true because there were plenty of times that I didn't feel like my parents were right
Right.
and they felt like they were right just because they were the parent. So I don't subscribe to that ideology that just because I'm the parent, I'm right because I'm human. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I'm not right in every other, like if it was anybody else, I wouldn't say, well, I'm Tamara, so I'm right. So me being your parent don't make it no different just
No
because
different.
I'm, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, the adult in the situation.
Right.
Yeah, man, raising kids is it's wild. It
It's a
is
full time
wild.
job.
It really
Full
is.
time
And
job.
I was telling Janae because she was, oh, I want to have kids. I was like, girl, if you're not ready to make certain sacrifices of like putting someone else's needs before yours almost always. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
yeah, we gotta have self-care and all that good stuff. So I'm not saying we don't have that, but our child should come first. Like,
No, always, always. I told somebody, I mean, I've said this multiple times, that my son's dreams will never stop me from having mine, but that means I have to hustle harder because his still come first.
yep,
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you always got to put your kid first, and they didn't ask to be here. You know
that
what I mean? And
part.
I know that sounds so cliche, but it's really the truth. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like we act like because children have attitudes, and sometimes they get angry, or sometimes they go astray, as if we no longer have to have any type of dealing with them if we don't want to. And outside of like total blatant tragic disrespect, I don't see any reason for you to have to disconnect from your kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
So but again, it's parenting. It's crazy that we need a license for so many things, and we have to get background check for so many things. You want to make sure that I've never been a felon and that my mental state is good. In order for me to come work at your job, where you're probably not paying me what I'm worth, but it's okay for my mental state to be whatever it is, and for me to have any type of background and produce a child. And I know that sounds extreme. I'm not saying that we should start going through that type of process in order to have children,
I don't know. We
but
might need to, cause man.
I mean, yeah, they, if we did, tomato, tomato. I guess that's a conversation for another time. But I just kind of feel like it's like that old saying, parenting doesn't come with a handbook. But yeah,
Right.
for me, and I've told people that I'm blessed to feel like I've actually had it kind of easy raising my kid. But at the same time, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I think it's the best job in the world. I don't, I couldn't speak from the other side if I never had kids, and I now can't speak from the other side because I do have kids, so I wouldn't know what my life would be without kids at this point. So I don't want to sit here and say, I would say something different, or that people without children should rush out and have children just because I think it's dope. No, but the experiences that I've had as a man, ways I've had to grow mentally and emotionally and socially. You got to be different socially when you have children, and especially
Mm-hmm.
especially children that are thriving. And so yeah, it's just it, being a parent is like being on stage and fumbling every damn line to the point to where the audience is ready to boo you, and then you do something spectacular and save the whole scene. And is you know what I mean? And you just as long as you're a good parent, I can't speak for shitty parents. But then they throw roses at your feet. And it's because you produce something that the world can marvel at. And I think that's what we should be doing as parents is trying to give the world something that they can not only that our children can benefit from the world, but if we have to be honest, what is the point of producing a productive citizen if the world can't benefit from your fruits of labor? If you do not give that to the world, then in a sense of failure, I will say that if you don't give a productive citizen to society as a parent, I do feel like you fail. Now, it's not always your fault if they don't produce. Some people get out here and they're just fuck nuts because they want to be. But if you did not do your best, if you did not instill in them, put into them, if they choose to turn away, that's on them. But for somebody who's not pouring into their children, who's not blessing into their children, who's not doing the best they can to put the children in positions to become who they need and want to be, again, what is the point of having a kid if you want your kid to benefit from the world, the world also has to benefit from them. If they choose not to be beneficial, that is on them. But if you don't give them the tools to attempt to be beneficial, then my darling, who is your mother and what are you here for? Because you have failed not only as a parent but as a person, and you should be shamed for it. And if anybody hears me and feels that kind of way, it's your fault.
And the thing about it too is, I feel like kids will. Well, I actually want to go back to this. Now, I don't know how they would regulate this, and this is why we shouldn't do this. But I think that there should be some sort of testing or something before people become parents, because look at how many parents have damaged children because I guess I'll give them the bit of the doubt and say they do the best that they did the best that they could, because unless you are like a sociopath or a psychopath or some sort of extreme mental health, like, but not just mental health stuff. I'm talking about the people that might go just kill everybody for, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So unless you're on that end of the spectrum, you really do the best you can. You really do want the best for your kids, and you do the best you can with,
I would argue against that. I don't think everybody's like that. Just because you're not one of those three, I think it's people who out here are totally perfectly sane and they shit on their children daily because they don't want to be parents. And so that's why I say it's an extreme, because there's some people out here who are top notch citizens and they've made children mistakenly, and they treat their children like yesterday's trash because they really don't want them. And there's people out here who aren't the brightest or who may have mental disabilities or whatever we can throw at the wall and it'll stick. And they're great parents. You see what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying.
I would argue that the people who, though, not the people who have mental disabilities and stuff like that, not them, but I would argue that the person who is a great citizen but creates life, but like knowingly treats their child like trash, I would argue that there's some sort of sociopath or something like that, because you don't have to necessarily be kill or a narcissist something, because you don't have to kill everybody to whatever.
right.
But it's
But
like, how
if we
could you?
if we tested people that have children, nobody would have kids.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But, I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Because there's mistakes that I've made, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's interesting because, and me and my son, this comes up a lot with us because of when someone says something to him. So, like I said, he's lived with his dad, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
when his dad and I broke up, his dad was like, he wanted him to live with him because he didn't grow up with his dad. I didn't grow up with my bio dad. And I knew that I wasn't going to like completely go away and never see him again and all this stuff. And he was like, he would never keep him from me. And so I let him go live with his dad because he was living with me from birth until he went to go live with his dad. And it's not like he was removed from the home. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
Right.
nothing crazy like that. It was literally a conversation that we had. And I just was like, wow, nobody that I know, their kid lives with their baby daddy. I didn't grow up with my dad. I knew a lot of people that grew up without a dad. So I thought it was like, and I don't regret it, because then when I got in a relationship that was extremely toxic and at times violent and whatever, this is where the disconnect came, because it wasn't that I ever chose my marriage over my child. It's that I was trying to protect him from what was going on in there. And this is why, when I said earlier, should I have left sooner than I did? I don't know, because I left when I left. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But what I didn't realize is that I didn't realize my son still knew stuff that was going on. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
a lot of the stuff that we went through, when I say we, I mean me and my daughters, he didn't have to go through. Like, he was sheltered from that because he was with his dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you let some people tell it, I just was never around ever, and that's not true at all. Now, were there times that I said I was gonna come and then didn't come because of whatever was going on and the apologize and all that? That did happen a little bit, like in his super younger years. But
Right.
then we hit this point, like basically once we split and I didn't have any more of the drama and all that stuff in my life, I remember I apologized to not only him, but I apologized to his dad, and then just kept doing better at being around or whatever. Did he still live
Right.
with his dad? Yeah, because that's, you
That's
know,
where he live. Yeah.
that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But let some people tell it, I was just never there and this, that, and the other. And the crazy thing is, I never I've become okay with being the villain in people's version of what happened. So I've never like when people say stuff with my kids, because that's what I don't think people realize, is that if you talk about me to my kids are going to tell me, because that's the
Right.
type of relationship that we have. And what I felt they fail to realize too, though, because I never bash the other person, especially if it's like their family, because that's their family regardless. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't bash anybody. I don't whatever. I've just taken it and really just prayed about it a lot, made peace with in myself to make sure that I don't have any like condemnation or shame about it, because people will try to make you feel ashamed about stuff that I made the best choice that I felt was best to protect my son from what was going on.
Right.
And then I make sure that my kids, like me and my son, have had a bunch of conversations about how he felt and whatever. But now that he's an adult, it's interesting because kids have to deal with certain things when they're a minor that maybe they don't have a voice or whatever. Then once they hit a certain age and they're like, I'm an adult now and I see it for what it really is. Because we just had this conversation the other day. This is why this is kind of coming up now. It's
Right.
like, I don't have to say anything. And I wouldn't, because I would never, I know how my kids are when it comes to me. So if I was a raggedy mom and I wanted them to go out there and fight somebody or do whatever, that's how much my kid, especially when it comes to my son, he's always been like that when it comes to me. Like, he don't play about me and he don't play about his sisters. But like I told him, I would never, as your mom, put you in a position to where you have to whatever. So I'm
Right.
just, as long as you know what it is and as long as I have a good relationship with you, I don't really
That's
care
all
what
that
any,
matters.
you know what I'm saying? That ain't my
Yeah. Yeah.
child. That ain't even my family. You know what I'm saying? And
Look, man.
I would
Look.
never put you in a position to where you will have to choose or it be
Or
some
even,
drama
yeah.
or whatever, because that's irresponsible on me as a
As a
parent.
parent,
You know what
real
I'm
talk.
saying? Like, and that's what I told him. Like, I know you're a man, but I'm your mom. Like,
Right.
I'm not
I'm
gonna,
still your protector. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna whatever. People can say whatever they want about me. I don't care. You ain't doing nothing for me. And
Right.
a lot of times the stuff that my kids have brought to me lately that people have said, not none of these people say this when they see me. And I'm not saying this in a you're scared or it's not even nothing like that, but I just look at it, if you didn't bring it directly to me, why do I need to address it? Because at this point, my kids are all adults. So
Right.
should you be going to my kids about something about me? I don't think so. I wouldn't go talk to somebody else's kids about their
About
parents.
them,
That's
yeah.
mad
You gotta,
weird. But
you
they're
gotta look at it
adults,
like this.
you know?
This the spoils of the tale not only go to the victim, but most times go to the people who weren't there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like people who weren't part of the situation can always spin the brightest tales because they have a blank canvas to tell their tales from. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And the reason they don't say it to the people that they are talking about is because when it comes time to be fact checked, you have no facts to give, and so it's like
Right.
you would just much rather stay in this safe space with, because what most people don't like to admit, especially when it comes to domestic situations regarding children, is most people like to be involved because they know they don't actually have to be involved, so they
Hmm.
can speak. They can talk. They can say this. I feel this way. I feel that way. But when it's time for you to step up to bat, and did you do anything to combat all of the things that you were complaining about? If you did not, I'm going to need you to take several seats and several shut the fuck ups, because either you're lying or you're a horrible person as well. Because if all of these things that you can spin and say were going on, or I was this type of person or that type of person, and you did absolutely nothing to help the situation, then you're just as horrible as the person you're trying to make me out to be while spinning your tails. And that's why, a lot of people will talk, but they will never talk to you because they know they actually have no basis. People
And then
make up themselves behind conversations the same way thugs make up themselves behind Twitter and other social media groups. I don't have to see you. I don't have to account for the things that I am saying. And then the day I do, they start fumbling like a drunk banker. You know what I mean? So
and the crazy thing too is, especially nowadays in the days of cell phones, Facebook Messenger, and social media and whatnot, like I keep receipts of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
I don't delete, and it's not. I never really thought about why. I just don't delete text messages. I don't delete messenger threads. I don't delete anything. I'll
right,
get a new phone, and that may reset the text messages, but outside of that, I don't delete anything unless I'm trying to. So, if you
yeah,
talking to somebody and you delete the thread. Once I delete a thread, that means I really don't want nothing to do with you, because I don't delete stuff. So there have been some stuff lately where my kids have come to me with stuff, and I'm like, huh, and I'll
yeah.
send them some screenshots, and I'm like, this is just so you know what actually happened.
Right,
And
yeah,
and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because
all
it's
right,
like,
and we move on.
yeah, because at the end of the day, I really only care about my kids, how they feel about whatever, mainly because when it comes to some of the stuff that they've brought to me. Now this has nothing to do with the stuff my son was talking about. But when it comes to some of the stuff my kids have brought to me, it's stuff that I would tell you if that's what it was. And I would tell you mainly because I don't want somebody else to tell you. So I've told my kids some stuff that, like, adults, I don't know though, because I'm pretty transparent, but I've told my kids a lot about me that other parents may not tell their kids about certain mistakes they made in the past or whatever. And I mainly do
Right,
because, especially if it's like public knowledge where people know. So I'm so glad I had that mindset, because if people know, and then
they
they
try to run their mouth,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying, and I'd rather you hear it from me, because
Especially if
nobody.
you still from the town you grew up in.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like, no one is gonna tell my life but me,
yeah. But
because
yeah.
because you're gonna
And
add
my
some
thing
extra
though is,
stuff that ain't got nothing to do
my
with
thing is, why are
why it
we
happened,
talking to people's children though? Like, if you want to
man.
run your mouth, run your mouth. You want to run your mouth and be gossipy with another adult that has nothing. And
Exactly,
I'm not condoning that, but I feel like when you're trying to run your mouth with somebody else's kid and you're spewing venom, it's like you're doing it from a standpoint because you don't have nothing else to give. It's like you gotta
exactly.
have. Somebody told me one day, they was like, "Oh, I saw somebody said you was with this person and with that person and with this person and with that person and with this person." I said, "You want to know something? It's all true. I was with all of those people." I said, "But you've already been discussed on how I live my life." I said, "But at the same time, If I was wrong, if any of those people thought I was wrong, one, why did they not run up and say something to me if they're such a friend and try to catch me in the act? And two, when do these people call you when it happened, or did they wait to see you and say these things? I said it's a sad existence. I said, for one, you have to understand. I feel good that all of these people felt the need to open their mouths and say something about me. I said, but such a sad existence you have to live to be able to have an opinion and state things about somebody's life who you're not in. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about people. We all of us, every single individual on this planet, we all, every single day we open our eyes, we walk out onto the stage.
Mm.
Some of us start off as leading actors. Some of us start off as the number three tree in the back, and then we make our way up. Some of us will forever be stage crew and support and cash, and some of us don't even show up to the show. And that's the thing. And some people are okay with being background noise because they're afraid to be their own main character. This is why we talk so much shit about the main character, because we're afraid to be the main character ourselves. So I always say, hey, if you got that much to say about a life of somebody else and you are not a part of it, it's one thing to talk. It's one thing to chop it up about some things. It's another thing for you to have an entire synopsis of somebody's life and you're not a part of their life in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You live a sad existence, and you should probably figure something out about yourself. Because I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like for all of the shit I've been through with my kids, just myself, relationships, ups and downs, parents, everything. I feel I. This may sound cocky. This may sound a little misplaced. For you to have words to say about me and you weren't there or you don't know me. Somebody the other day told me that their people told them what so many other people don't like about me. And I said to them, I said, go back and ask them when any of those people have ever met me. And I will give you full example of of a bunch of people who have no basis to have an opinion on me. Because they've never met me in their damn life.
Mm-hmm.
So but we like to cheer for the villain. We like to cheer for the hero. But we're scared to be the hero or the villain ourselves. And that those are those people. And hey, if any of you that are watching know those people, just tell them I appreciate them and keep talking because it's a wonderful life to know that you like what's the famous saying? They talk shit about Jesus. I know they don't give a damn about me. Come on. You know what I mean?
I
So
just saw a TikTok the other day, speaking of main character, where it was saying how like you are not the main character in everyone else's life. So he was saying it from the basis of like, I know I have stuff where I'll make a mistake or I'll do something and I will replay it in my mind over and over and over and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And maybe not right away, but right away and then it comes back or whatever the pattern. And he was like, you're not the main character. 9 times out of 10 that person didn't have that same thought process about the event or has moved on from it because they're their own main character in their own
and
story
their own
and they
story,
got their
right?
own stuff going on. But he was like, but if you become the main character in somebody's story to where they are so worried about you and so obsessed with you and have so much to say about you, he was like, how special of a person do you have to actually be able to take over the main character spot without trying
Yep.
in somebody
And
else's
somebody else's
story?
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody wakes up talking about you and goes to sleep talking about you and never did anything that day to further their own existence. Bravo to me. So
Yeah, but we didn't really want nothing, y'all. Really. This is literally the episode. Good talk
be good
about
parents.
yeah, good talk about parenting, good talk about whatever, man. Be your own main character and also don't think that you're so important that what you do really is on somebody else's mind that much. And that honestly was very freeing for me when I seen that TikTok because it's not
It's
like
real
I
talk.
think everybody thinks about me, but because I think about whatever situation, like, oh, I can't believe I did that or whatever, you assume ain't nobody worried. They probably don't even know, don't even care if you know what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yep.
But if that's something you struggled with, I hope that frees you the way that TikTok freed me. Had to follow that person, got an immediate follow after I watched that video because I was like, okay, sir, okay. But before we get up out of here, because we are about to get up out of here, Penrose, tell the people where to find you and all that good stuff.
On Twitter and Instagram, you can find me at Penrose Eames. That's PenroseEames. I am one half of Protest and Riot. I am one third of which you can find at YCC Entertainment /Protest and Riot, or Patreon.com/YCC Entertainment, and then go and sign up for the Patreon for Protest and Riot. I'm also one third of All Docked Up. Shout out to my sisters Chris and my sister VJ. I'm one third of PenTamZ. Shout out to Tam and shout out to Ellen and Z.
And you out here.
I'm out here, man. Be on the lookout for YCC Entertainment. We are actually transitioning. If you live in the Northern Virginia area, you'll be seeing some information about this soon. We are transitioning into taking over a open mic in the Manassas area. Also,
okay, taking over open mic. Okay,
yeah, I'm trying to move out here. You know what I mean? We're also doing. Nelson from YCC Entertainment will be headlining story time at Manassas Tavern Old Town Tavern, I'm sorry, in a couple weeks. So we out here doing stuff, man. I'm pretty sure that's all I'm a part of. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Shout out to, I appreciate my teammates. Shout out to Murph, Roadboy, and Baylor. Shout out to my morning videos. And and again, always remember, your life is not built on the back of being the beneficiary, but on the legs of being beneficial. That's all I got.
I think that's how we'll end it. Make sure y'all take care of yourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Be healthy in your relationships. You can find all my social media stuff and all that good stuff in the episode notes, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this episode was encouraging because my conversations with Penrose always are. That's why I had to bring them back on the platform. And y'all be on the lookout for a live show from us sometime in the future.
We're coming.
Yeah, we haven't locked the date down yet, but it is coming. So just be listening out for that. I'll give y'all details when I have it. And I guess that's it. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Peace.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for...